Hello, everyone. Here's a quick summary of the movie Cool Runnings. This film is based on real events in Jamaica in 1987. It follows Darisse Bannock, a sprinter with dreams of competing in the 1988 Summer Olympics in the 100-meter dash. Darisse, currently supporting his friend and their young pushcart racing team, starts with a race down a hill, pushing a homemade cart, gaining speed as they go. Unfortunately, they crash into a kiosk during the race. Darisse shares the importance of making it to the Olympics with his girlfriend, a dream he's prepared for his whole life. The time for qualifying trials arrives, with only 4 athletes from Jamaica making it to the Seoul Olympics. During the trials, Darisse faces competition from a tough, bald opponent. However, a friendly runner wishes both Darisse and the tough competitor luck. The race begins, with Darisse taking the lead, but a fall by the friendly runner causes a crash involving Darisse and the tough competitor. Unfortunately, due to this unfortunate incident, the young athlete lost his chance to make it to the Olympics. The president of the Olympic Committee offers the sprinter some advice, such as trying his hand at boxing. Darisse's father was also a renowned runner, and in a photograph, the young man spots a white man standing next to him. This is Irving Blitzer, an Olympic medalist who once tried to convince the older Bennett to take up bobsledding. He now lives in Jamaica. With just 3 months left until the Winter Olympics, an enthusiastic Darisse convinces Sanka to join his bobsled team. Despite the mere mention of ice and winter making a Jamaican shiver, Sanka agrees to support his friend. Together, they find Blitzer. He's in a sour mood after losing money on bets, but they propose that he become the coach of Jamaica's first ever bobsled team. The guys persistently pester the former bobsledding champion until he straightforwardly explains that he has no intention of coaching anyone, especially in a place where no one has ever seen snow. But the convincing factor for Irving is that very photograph. He believes that sprinters make the best bobsledders, and Darisse can run the 100-meter dash 1/10 of a second faster than his father. Now they need to select 2 more members for the team among the young athletes. Using an ancient documentary, Blitzer explains the basics of this exotic sport to the assembled group, but in reality, it turns out to be a compilation of terrible accidents, one of which even resulted in an athlete's death. When the lights came on, the audience had already left. However, the bald and embittered runner named Yul Brenner was not deterred by the demonstration. He's willing to become a bobsledder just to get off the hated island. The 4th member to join the sled is the clumsy runner Junior Bevel. Although, at first, he had to save himself from an angry weightlifter. This is the team Irving has to work with. But for now, their bobsled or sled is put together from scrap metal. Irving assigns roles to the guys and explains their responsibilities. He designates Sanka as the brakeman, but Sanka protests since he was an excellent driver with his own carts. However, being the driver is a highly responsible position that requires more work than others. Therefore, Darisse must take on this role. We learn that Junior comes from a very wealthy family, and his father, tired of his son's sporting whims, has arranged a job for him at a brokerage firm. For now, the Jamaican bobsledders' equipment consists of assorted junk, and their first attempt to speed up their sled ends in failure. One of the guys keeps getting lost during the run, and the sled eventually flips over. Sanka, in the meantime, adapts to the cold. Over time, the Jamaicans learn to at least get into the bobsled properly. However, controlling it remains a challenge. They even crash into a police car, which makes the officers laugh when they find out they are bobsledders. But they finally manage to accelerate the sled to 6 seconds, the time set by Blitzer. Inspired by their progress, the coach tries to secure $20,000 in funding from the Olympic Committee, but the president refuses. He worries that Jamaica will become a laughingstock at the games. So, each team member raises money however they can. Sanka sings on the street, Darisse charms various sponsors with his proposals, and Yul earns $1 for every arm wrestling victory. but through their collective efforts, they managed to gather only $200. The rest of the money comes from Junior, who, for the greater good, sells his car. This is his way of apologizing for causing them to miss the Summer Olympics, although he did it without his father's knowledge. Finally, the Miracle Team arrives in Canada, but they are in no rush to face the cold. Sanka wears everything he has and even his bag. A blitzer registers his team for the qualifying races. They need to achieve a time of at least 1 minute and 2 seconds. There, he meets his old team, and only one athlete shows interest in talking to him. With the remaining $5,000, Irving buys a sled, and it's time for the Jamaicans to get acquainted with the ice. In the evening, Derisse enthusiastically watches the bobsled team from Switzerland train. Their movements are precise and synchronized. The Jamaican team believed they would get similarly sleek sleds, but their $5,000 only bought them a rundown old sled. Seeing this ancient contraption during practice, the other athletes are shocked and even stop their preparations. Enduring mockery from the world's best driver, Derisse listens to the coach's final instructions. Sanka reluctantly dons a helmet over his dreadlocks. The sled and the Jamaicans slowly start their run, and after gaining some speed, Sanka screams at the top of his lungs. Unfortunately, their first ever run ends before the finish line. In the hotel room later that evening, Sanka fries bananas and laughs about Yull's dream of living in what turned out to be Buckingham Palace. Yull, the big man, is supported by Junior, who admires his determination. The more Yull Brenners achieve in life, the better it is for all of Jamaica. The next day, the Jamaicans prepare for their first real run, but sadly, the sled takes off without them. These comical scenes make it into the newspapers and catch the eye of Junior's father. While they are preparing the sled for Derisse, one of the former bobsledders joins them and reveals that in '72, their coach Irving was caught cheating. He had placed a weight in the sleds to increase their speed, resulting in the stripping of both his gold medals. Junior receives a telegram from his father demanding his immediate return home. However, for now, the guys head to a local country club. While Sanka learns an exotic dance, it's time for Yull to console his friend. At the same time, the East German driver decides to taunt the Jamaicans again. But dragging his timid friend into the bathroom, Yull begins to mentally toughen him up so that he doesn't allow others to mistreat him. Back in the bar, they started a fight with the Germans, and Sanka enthusiastically joined in. In their hotel room, the team's leader scolds all three of them, but Irving manages to get them off the hook at the establishment. However, the Jamaicans shouldn't celebrate too soon. They are still widely disliked here. So, from now on, they need to keep a low profile. Their physical training is supplemented with theory, and over time, they start feeling much more confident on the track. As a reward, Blitzer presents them with their Olympic uniforms. It turns out that during the qualifiers, one of the judges replaces Irving, who is not friendly towards them. He informs them that they now need to complete the course in exactly 1 minute for it to count. Copying the Swiss team, the athletes count and start their run. But the breakneck speed has become their norm, and none of the team members make a mistake. After finishing, they anxiously look at the scoreboard, which displays 59.46. Ecstatic, the Jamaicans paint their sled in the colors of their country's flag and decide on its name. Tallulah suggests the name Junior, and everyone laughs because it sounds like the name of a cheap hooker. However, it turns out that's his mother's name. In the end, Derisse names the sled Cool Runnings. At this moment, the Jamaicans receive notifications of their disqualification. Irving bursts into the Olympic Committee office right in the middle of a meeting. They explain their decision by stating that the Jamaican team hasn't participated in any international competitions before this year, and this condition started to apply from this year onward. Irving suspects that the officials are getting back at him for his misconduct 16 years ago and still doesn't persuade the committee not to punish his team for it. Back in Jamaica, the Jamaicans watch their team at the opening of the Calgary Olympics. Exactly 20 years ago, Derisse's father won a gold medal at the Summer Olympics. Instead of giving a speech, Irving says a joking prayer to receive gold medals. At this moment, Junior's father enters their room and wants to pull him out of the team and take him home right away. Despite his father's arrival and demand to take him home, Junior, inspired by Yul's advice, manages to say no and stays in Canada. The first of the 3 competition days begins. But first, the favorites, the Swiss, perform, followed by the Americans and the Germans. The Jamaican boys keep score with chalk on a board. Unlike the commentators, the Islanders don't consider their team as outsiders. The Jamaican team prepares for their first run. Derisse, following the Swiss example, taps everyone on the helmet. There is significant responsibility on the boys, as it's the first appearance of the Jamaican national team in the Winter Olympics history. Unfortunately, the team struggles to get into the sled immediately. The sled keeps bumping against the track's sides. They manage to reach the finish line with a time of 58 seconds. The coach tells the athletes that they are too tense and need to relax. Senka brings up the issue of national identity and suggests that they shouldn't copy the Swiss but should be themselves. So the next day, the guys behave like true Rastafarians, having fun and singing songs. On this day, the Jamaican team is much more composed, and they even managed to overtake the Swiss at the start. The commentators also noted a remarkable improvement in their skills. This time, their result is 56.5 seconds, and they now hold the 8th place. In the evening, Derisse asks the coach why he cheated, and Blitzer replies that he just had to win. He's always been a winner and achieved victory at any cost. The final day of the competition arrives, and even Junior's father joins the other spectators to support the team. The commentators also wear t-shirts in support of the team. The guys start well, and they perform confidently on the track. However, at the most inconvenient moment, the old sled starts to fall apart right on the track. Derisse loses control, and the 4 of them crash into the side of the track. The overturned sled continues to slide on the ice for a while, testing the durability of the athletes' helmets. Eventually, the transport comes to a stop, and medical personnel rush to the Jamaican team's aid. And at this moment, Derisse decides that they must absolutely finish the descent. All the spectators fall silent as the 4 guys carry the heavy bobsled on their shoulders to the finish line. Proud Jamaican athletes earn applause from the entire crowd, even from their rivals. They are congratulated by their coach as well. Now, Ben Castarcheve's photo has another photo added to it, a picture of his son, the captain of the first Jamaican Bobsled Team. If you enjoyed my retelling, please support the channel with a comment of more than 4 words. It greatly helps promote the video. Goodbye.